Welcome to the Where Entrepreneurs Thrive podcast. I'm your host, Russ Nolting, and this is the podcast where we explore the stories, strategies, and secrets of entrepreneurs who are shaping the real estate industry. Each episode, we sit down with leaders and innovators and dive into their journeys, uncover what fuels their success, and discover how they've turned challenges into opportunities. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or a seasoned pro, you're in the right place to get inspired to take your game to the next level. Today, I'm in the studio with Mark Ditkof. Mark, welcome to the podcast.
Russ, thanks for having me. Super excited.
Awesome. Let's jump right in. Tell us about how you got started in real estate and how you got to KW.
Yeah, so when I moved to Colorado in 2013 out of college to be a high school math teacher. And phenomenal career, absolutely love teaching, still love teaching. But as my wife and I decided to have kids, we knew that we wanted her to be a stay-at-home mom and that my math teaching career was not going to afford us the lifestyle that we wanted to become accustomed to. And her aunt was actually an absolute superstar real estate agent in our area. And so she helped us buy our house and then said, Mark, you should do this. You'll be good at it. And I ran the numbers. If I sold 4 houses a year, it would pay the health insurance and things that we'd be losing from my wife not working. Yeah. And that's how I got in, is really just, she was already at KW. I never interviewed elsewhere, never looked elsewhere, found home right away. And honestly feel blessed that I never had to go through a transitionary period, because I know a lot of agents that have switched around a whole bunch, finding their place. And I was just lucky enough to have the right person be there for me.
Yeah. So how long did you do math?
So I taught for 7 years. I did both teaching and real estate for 4 before I just went full-time real estate.
What was it like having a dual career with teaching, which is demanding, being one of the careers?
It was a lot of work. I came to the realization that it was too much work for me when I literally put my son to bed on a Sunday evening and did not see him again until Thursday evening. Because I was teaching, working, just over and over and over again. A really good friend of mine was a teacher across the hall, and he always pretended like my classroom was like some back office sweatshop or something, because the moment the students would leave the room, I'd shut the door and I'd get on the phones and start calling people. And it was a lot. It got to the point I really felt like I was a full-time real estate agent, and I taught part-time. And that 36 hours a week I taught, and 40 hours a week I was doing real estate, and I never saw my family, and just realized it was too much. But at the same time, my career would not be where it is today if I didn't have that transitionary period, because I was able to network and learn with the people in that school. And that was a lot of my business at the beginning. So when I'm talking to other dual career agents, I don't try and convince them to quit now and just go full-time real estate. I say, can we leverage the career we're in to help boost you further into your real estate career, instead of dropping that cold turkey and kind of starting from zero?
Yeah. I was dual career with teaching and real estate as well. And it's, but in a different way. I was in land sales. So it was kind of like nothing during the week, but the weekends I worked, and that's how I got into real estate as a teacher. But
it's a hustle. It's a really big hustle, because again, as everybody knows, right? Teachers are undervalued, underpaid, underrespected, all that stuff, right? But it's also it's the reality. And so working 36 hours a week just in contract time for teaching, plus if I ever had any grading I used to coach, I had to give up coaching because of real estate, because it was just too much. It was too much.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember my aha, I taught for 4 years. I taught physics. And I remember this guy, Tom, across the hall. And Tom was the history teacher. And Tom used to come to work 5 minutes late. I would be teaching and I could hear over my shoulder the kids, and I'm like, where's Tom? And then Tom was out the door at 3:00. And then I remember contract season came around and I got my 3% or whatever it was. And Tom got his 3%. And I was like, Tom showed up late. Tom left early. Tom did none of the things. Tom Scantroned all of his tests, that whole thing. And I'm busting my hump, and we both got the same comp. And I actually, I mean, other things got involved too, but I kind of left because I was like, this is not a merit-based system. and I can do much better.
Well, and that's one of the incredible things about the industry we're in now, right? Is, you know, if you had Tom across the hall from you in a real estate office,
Yeah.
Tom's not making money. Tom's
Yeah.
not doing anything like what you're going to be doing. Where if you're doing all the right things and you're doing the right things long enough, good things happen. I mean, you're 100% right. Is real estate is so much more merit based, right? It's not just, and again, a lot of it is who gives the most effort, who shows up, makes their calls, does their follow up, does their lead gen, do the things they have to do. But it's also skill based, especially in this market. And so Tom's not getting a raise this year, and there's a good chance Tom's not being a real estate agent next year. So
Yeah.
I
Tom's the
same
guy that,
exact. Yep.
yeah, Tom gives it up after 18 months of making no money. So, um, your best year as a dual career, full-time teacher, full-time realtor, how many units did you sell? Do you remember?
Oh, okay. So that would have been 2019 because I gave up teaching. Actually, I gave my notice in 2020, January, and then the world shut down 2 months later. And
Oh,
so
wow.
technically, for my tax purposes, I was dual career for 2020, but I only taught for like what 2.5 months
Yeah.
that year. So 2019, I probably closed about 35 units
Oh,
as
you're
a dual
kidding me.
career agent. Because that's why I mean I made enough money fully dual career where that my wife and I started really sitting down and talking, going, is it worth me 36 hours of contract time every single week going and netting? I know my take home pay for teaching every month was $2,800.
Yeah.
And I said gross pay was like 3,600 or something like that. And I said, in our market at that time, that'd be one small closing, right? Pueblo is a little bit of a lower price point, but even in Pueblo, a $3,000 check is 100,000. You know,
Yeah.
it's not hard to come by. In real estate. So I said, if I had 36 hours a week back to myself, not teaching, could I make one more closing a month?
Right.
And not only that, even if I don't make another closing a month, the money we're already making is sufficient for our lifestyle. Can I just have 36 hours back? Can I just start spending more time with family or you know, again, coaching my kids and can I live a little bit more? And that's why it was a no-brainer.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about that 35 units, you're probably making in real estate 3 times what you were making as a teacher.
Yeah, it was about 2.5 times. Yeah.
2.5 times.
Yeah. Yeah, because then that year of 2020, I know the real estate market boomed. I think we hit, you know, 40 something units, and 2021 was 50 something. I mean, it just kept going up.
Yeah. Did you grow
Once
up
you have
in
time to
Pueblo?
devote. I did. I'm from Wisconsin. My wife's from Pueblo. And so we met in college, and then I wanted to come to Colorado, and her whole family was here. So we stuck here.
Got it. Awesome. What would you say is like has been like the defining moment of your career, like the moment that changed everything for you?
So it was in that year, 2019. Most people say in our industry, between year 3 and year 5 is when you kind of start figuring things out. By year 3, you feel confident in what you do. And by year 5, that's when you start getting a lot more of your repeat and referral business. And the hustle isn't so hard. And in 2019, for me, what really happened is, like I just said, I made enough money where I realized I don't have to do this other job anymore. And in fact, it was probably hindering my ability to do my real estate job to the max ability. And then at the end of 2019, we have an awards thing in Pueblo. It's called the Best of Pueblo, and it's not merit based at all. It's totally a popularity contest. But I won, and I didn't expect it in any capacity. Like, they told me I was in the finals, the nominations, all that, and we went to this fancy dinner, and I was sitting next to 2 or 3 of the absolute rock star agents in town that merit wise totally deserved it more than me. But it was a popularity contest, and for some reason I was a little bit more popular. And so I had a really good career year, best year I'd had. I just won this really big award in my eyes, and that was it. I mean, that to me was like, I'm here, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, love that. So tell me about the last few years. Like, so you did 35 units in
19.
2019. What's the growth been like since?
Almost exponential as a solo agent. I went to, again, I think the next year was like 40, 55, and then I hit 72 units as a solo agent, my biggest year. And that's the year I realized this is not feasible. Because again, I was just working 70 hours a week again, just in one job instead of 2.
Yeah.
And Keller Williams, Gary Keller, they always preach, right? Leverage, leverage, leverage. When you're ready, you're getting more leads than you can handle, bring on that admin, create a team. And so that's what I did in 2023 is we created a team. And units wise, we haven't skyrocketed from that since we created the team, but I've got so much more time back in my life. The people on the team are building careers that they're proud of and selling more houses than they ever sold before. And so it's really just a team effort to say we're all in this together and we're all getting the benefits that we expected from it.
Got it. So how many houses did you sell last year, 2024?
So 2024, we closed out 3 licensed agents, 67 units.
Great. What does the rest of your team look like besides licensed people?
So we've got a full-time admin as a cyberbacker, but she's our full-time admin. We've got a transaction coordinator, and then actually one of our licensed agents kind of duels up as an admin as well. She's part salaried, part licensed agent. And we just onboarded another agent actually in January for 2025. So we're currently at 4 licensed agents then.
Got it. Okay. How have you utilized cyber help, VAs, virtual assistants? What does that look like for you?
Okay, we have the best cyberbacker ever. She's incredible. And I think a part of it is too is a mindset where when she was brought in, I think a lot of people think of a virtual assistant as like somebody in the background that doesn't interact with the team and just does the duties you give them. And that's fine. I mean, if that's the way you want to run things. She's on our team huddle every single morning.
Yeah.
We talk to her multiple times throughout the day. We interact with her constantly. Most in-person admin, you don't see them that often throughout the day unless you happen to be in the office. And we treat her and she acts a part of the team in that same capacity. She just happens to be in a different room. And I mean, she does everything for us. I mean, she schedules our showings. She inputs our MLS stuff. She makes calls to regional building for us and does all that. She does all of our social media. I mean, she does a lot of work and she's fantastic.
Yeah, love that. It's interesting. You see like a big range of how successful people are with utilizing virtual talent. From like I never could get on board with it. It never made a difference for me. It stinks. To I could never live without this. And I've got a MCA in the Philippines. I have a number of people that help me that are virtual, and I think it's like the greatest thing ever.
It's such a low barrier to entry and low risk on the back end compared to trying to hire somebody in person in your town.
Yeah.
Right. And so if anybody's out there looking to think, I don't know if it's the right time, it's the right time to hire a cyberbacker or whatever virtual assistant company you decide to work with, right? It's the right time because it's such a low commitment, not only cost-wise, but time-wise. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But give it a shot. What do they preach? Like you just got to be able to afford them for 3 months. Yep. And they have to earn their way. And if they don't, part of it is them earning their ways. You have to give them the duties necessary to earn their way. And for us, the social media alone, right? We have 4 social media business accounts that she manages now. And we get a bunch of leads and a bunch of traction through that. And so that itself is almost a full-time job.
Yeah, it's huge. And there's something about someone who is offsite, who's not getting interrupted all the time, who can put their head down and do something that we could never do here because we're around people all day. And I'm with you. Like my cyberbackers are in my meetings every day for the stand-up because they're part of the team.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
So
yeah, they're part of the team. Yep.
Yep. Mark, what's your secret sauce? What do you and the Onyx group, what do you all do better than anybody else?
Well, we're the best real estate agents, of course.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we can sell a house better than anybody. No. Okay, so in all reality, we have a couple of things that I think we do pretty special. One is our social media and our influence online. In the Pueblo market, we're one of the tops, and there's no doubt. I mean, it's really funny because we got a couple of the agents on the team right after they joined the team. We do a lot of videos and those kind of things. They come back and they go, Mark, I've never met some of these people before. And they're coming up to me at Target and saying, you're Giselle. I know you from the Onyx group. Or you're Michelle. And I saw you on this video. And they're like, how do these people even see us? And it's literally just, we're out there and we're putting ourselves out there and we're super authentic. We're never trying to be who we're not. And so you see us on videos, you meet me in person. I'm really the same person. And that's absolutely our goal, is just to be authentic in that way. So our social media presence is spectacular for our market. And I'm really proud of what we've put together there. The other thing I think we do really, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Do you measure your social media and followers? I mean, do you track all those types of metrics?
No, we don't even have that many followers compared to a lot of people. I think our business page, our main business page might have 2,000, and my personal page might have 4,000, somewhere in that range. But it's not the number of followers, it's the engagement from the
Yeah.
followers.
Yeah.
And I've even heard, actually, you talk to a lot of people that have gone viral and they get 10, 15,000, followers in a heartbeat. It's a bunch of ghost followers right after that. They never interact with the page, they never do anything, and it's almost a waste to have. Where if we can just keep a really strong niche of good content with the right people, we get a bunch of business off of a very small amount of people, really.
That's great. I love that. Um,
The other thing that I think we do really well too, and I encourage everybody does this, and we've even tried to teach it a little bit, is with listings, especially having a marketing package and having tiers, that not everybody's one size fits all listing package, and walking into a listing appointment and saying, look, based on your house, these are the options, this is the one we recommend. And I've had multiple seller clients tell us it is so nice to see something that's actually tailored towards what we need, and not just somebody's coming in here and saying, hey, this is what everybody charges, so this is what I'm going to charge.
so you've got a standard rate and then a standard plus or a standard minus. Like, how do you do it?
Yeah, we've got 4 rates. And really it just comes down to, I always tell people our base package, in my opinion, is more than most real estate agents do. And that's the minimum we do. And because it includes professional photos and high level marketing and all those kind of things still. And then it goes all the way up to our highest level package, where we're paying for staging, we're paying for pre-inspections, we're fronting money for contractors to renovate houses. I mean, we're doing the whole gamut on the highest, and there's things in between that it just makes sense.
Yeah. Do you find that even with choices, most people pick one thing?
Kind of somewhere in the middle. What's nice about it too is it can be hybrid, right? If you don't totally fit this package, but you don't totally fit this package, well, what if we did this and we ended up here? And people just feel more comfortable because they see the value they're getting versus just here's some random rate that came out of nowhere. You can see, I mean, we are itemized exactly everything we do. And it's almost a checklist. Did we do this? Did we do this? Did we do this? And they can call us, say, hey, did this happen? Yeah, here's the evidence, right? And they know exactly what they're paying for.
I assume that when you give people options, it causes people to not ask you for discounts.
There's a huge reduction in discounts, discount requests. And we'll do what it takes as long as it makes sense for everybody, right? We're always gonna have that one person out there that says, I don't want to pay you, but I want you to do everything. And it's okay, we're just not the right agents for you.
Right.
And in the book Ninja Selling, he breaks it down where he says 15% of people always want to pay the cheapest rate. 80% of people always want the most value, and 5% of people always want to pay the most. And I assume those 5% is because they think they're getting the most value by paying the most. The 80% in the middle is they want to see value, and that's what we're showing people as value. But there's always going to be that 15% of people that says, I don't care what you're going to do. You're going to do it for less, or I'm not going to hire you. And then we just have to decide as to whether or not it's worth it.
My wife asks for a discount no matter what the deal is.
Ugh.
She's in the next room, by the way.
That's exhausting.
If someone shadowed you for the day, what would they be surprised to see?
I think they'd be surprised to see how it's just go, go, go. I mean, it's absolutely go, go, go. We actually had somebody that was looking to join the team, and they shadowed me for 3 days and said it wasn't for me. They said they couldn't do it. And they were just shadowing and watching, going from one appointment to another, getting on the phone, going to this, running that. I mean, and we have good leverage. I mean, we've got people putting our signs out for us. We've got people that do our photos for us. We've got people, but it's still go, 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 go. And it's a lot of hustle. And we have a lot of fun. I think it's a lot of fun while we do it, but it's work, and you're tired at the end of the day.
I would assume that you can, based on coming from a place where you're working 70 some odd hours with 2 jobs to today, go, go, go probably feels somewhat relaxing to you comparatively.
Oh yeah. Yeah. When I don't work 70 hours anymore, right? I tell people I probably work solid work 30 to 40 hours a week on our busier weeks. And I think my team probably works very similar hours. Some of them, every week's a little bit different and all that.
Yeah.
But the goal is we have lives outside of work, and that's what we try. But when you're working, you're working. You're not sitting at a desk twiddling your thumbs thinking, what can I be doing? Like we have things to do and we get those things done.
Yeah. With a wife and two kids, what is your way of not working? Like, what do you do to not work?
I love my family. I absolutely love my family. And I say that like it's not common. I hope that's super common, but I don't feel like it is. I like my wife and I take every Wednesday afternoon off from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. I don't work because my wife and I go on a day date while the kids are in school every Wednesday. And it's the middle of a work day, but we've got a team. We've got people that are covering. My team knows that that's my time with her, and I don't answer the phone. A lot of times I leave my phone behind. And it's wonderful. And to not work too, my kids at this age, 6 and 8 years old, they're into every sport that exists apparently. And
Right.
so I was actually joking with my wife just the other day. We've got roller hockey that both of them play. My older one plays ice hockey, which he has a tournament next weekend. They're both starting soccer, which I coach for them, and there's a tournament next weekend. And they're in my little one's starting baseball, which practices are already starting. This is all right now that these
Yeah.
things are happening. And it's like, I love being a part of their sports. Again, I coach their soccer and I love the fact that I don't coach anything else, so I can sit and really enjoy what they do. But that's really when we're not working, it's family, and I just love doing it.
Yeah. I love that. What's a habit or a mindset shift that's made the biggest impact on your business and your career?
Nothing in our industry is an emergency. Legitimately. There's no reason to answer a phone at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And set your deadlines, right? The Colorado contract is awesome because a couple years ago they added the time of day deadline in. We do 7 p.m. And sometimes I wish it could be earlier, but when we've got clients that work till 5, it's nice to give them a couple hours to get things done. We do 7 p.m. And even if you do midnight and it's 11 o'clock, like just shut it down for the day. If the contract automatically terminates, revive it the next day if that's the biggest deal. Like everybody still wants the house. Like you're gonna make it work. But I mean, for me to be able to say, oh no, I'm out of office today, I'm not going to answer the phone is very okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a life outside. And I always joke, like, oh, if the house is on fire, they're going to call me. Like, no, they're going to call the fire department. And if they call me, I'm not going to go to their house and do anything because it's on fire. So,
Right.
what's the emergency?
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because I think the other agent often thinks everything's an emergency. And maybe for them, um, at their production level, it is an emergency because it's the only deal they got this year.
I had an agent chew me out when I told him I didn't work Sundays.
Mhm.
I said, don't try and call me. I said, if you want to call me on a Sunday, I promise I'll get back to you on Monday. And he was livid. I mean, he thought it was just absolutely unprofessional and ridiculous that I would ever consider taking a day off consistently. And he said, I work 24 hours. I said, great. My alarm every morning is 4 a.m. I'm going to make sure I call you and you better answer, Mr. 24 hours a day.
Yeah, that is a really great answer.
Take a day. Everybody's listening to this. Take a day off once in a while. There's no emergencies. It's going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an important thing. And with I've got 4 kids and 3 of them are out of the house and you never get that time back, you know? So it's funny how many people get into this job, this line of work, because they want flexibility and then they impose an inflexible schedule on themselves.
Yeah, the only flexibility you have is your client's flexibility when you're bending to their will all the time. And again, to be pragmatic about it, if you're a brand new agent, like go hustle. You should work 7 days a week. You should kick your butt into gear and really work hard, knowing that your business is going to work if you do the work you need to do, and then you're going to have the opportunity to take more time off. But at the beginning of this business, if you want to kill it at the beginning, you got to hustle. And that's what you asked any top producer, they hustled at the beginning.
100%. I mean, Gary Keller talks about it in The One Thing. He says the balanced life is a lie. Well, part of the reason the balanced life is a lie is because if you're going to get good at this, you're going to have a ton of work focus for a period of time until you earn the right to have the family focus. My wife and I travel a lot and like we don't, I mean, we take our phones, but but we don't work for, for a couple weeks here and there when we go to Europe or wherever we go. And, because we've earned it.
That's exactly right. You couldn't have done that when you first started, though.
No,
At least you didn't feel like you could have. You probably could have. We just didn't
probably
feel
could
that
have.
way. Because there was going to be that $1 million buyer that called while you were gone. You gotta be available. But no, it's so true. It's so true.
Yeah, I remember a time, thinking I haven't really been on vacation in about 18 months. This was during the Great Recession. It was like '09, 10, and those years were really tough. And if you didn't go all in on the work side, you were probably going to go back to teaching. And so we went all in for a while, but then as soon as it let up a little bit, then you counterbalance the other direction for a bit. So it's important. Um, any book or resource or anything like that that's especially meaningful or impactful for you?
Russ, I run my business off of the book Ninja Selling. I
Mhm.
think that book, I'll try and read that book once a year. And I feel like I know it really, really well, and I still want to, or I'll put it on Audible while I'm
Mhm.
driving around. I do a lot of books on tape through Audible, audiobooks. I guess they're not books on tape nowadays, but I listen to, I don't even listen to music in the car. I only listen to either podcasts or Audible. And the Ninja Selling book, I I sell it to people, a lot of new agents too. I said, if you're an agent that wants to constantly pick up the phone, call people you don't know, and ask them, do you know anybody looking to buy or sell in real estate? If that's who you want to be, this book's not for you. Because this
Yep.
book teaches you how to be successful in this business doing the exact opposite, right? Is create real, authentic relationships, get to know people, earn their trust, and then be there when they need you is really what that book teaches you. And when you do the right things happen. I say that a lot. And that's one of those things is now you have to be purposeful about creating relationships and doing the things you need to do. But it's such a good book for anybody looking to start their business in a way that I think most agents would prefer to run it.
Yeah. Who's the author? Larry Kendall?
Larry Kendall, yep. Yeah, he's actually from Fort Collins, which is
Yeah.
cool because they actually do their Ninja Selling Boot Camp every year up there. We haven't done it yet, but I fully expect my team to go through that. And it's cool because he talks about Colorado a lot in the book. And so for us, it's convenient.
Yeah. Awesome. What podcasts do you listen to?
I like the MREA podcast. That one's it's an easy listen to. There's always somebody worthwhile that's on there. And it kind of fuels me a little bit because I'm like, oh, I could do that, or maybe we should think about adding that into it. And so that's always a good podcast. I also like Bigger Pockets a lot. I do real estate investing as well. We do buy and holds. I don't flip houses, not yet at least. But I think that one's kind of really cool inspiration for anybody that's thinking about getting into real estate investing and seeing how attainable it is and how it really is an option, right? Like, what are the ways to get into it? It got me into it really good. We're doing really well with our portfolio now.
Awesome. Any non-real estate podcasts or books that you're reading?
Why would I why would I read a book or listen to a podcast that's not about real estate?
Yeah.
Uh, Let me think. Book not real estate related, but I got into it because of real estate is Sean Aker. He was the main speaker at Family Reunion a couple of years ago, and he wrote a book called The Happiness Advantage.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that book actually changed my life.
Really?
Yeah, it absolutely did. Reading that book and opening up. I mean, one thing I remember is a study that he talks about in that book where it was a hospital and there was two wings in the hospital. And in one hospital wing, the nurses and staff and everybody just acted normal. I mean, if a patient was walking down the hallway, they wouldn't really say anything. They just walked by each other and it was normal. And people got the treatment they needed. On the other side of the wing, everybody was very purposeful about saying hi to everybody every time they saw it. Hey, I hope you're okay. Hey, good to see you today. Right? That's all they did. That was the only difference. And the people on that side healed faster and had a better experience than the people on the other side who also healed and also had a fine experience at a hospital. But all versions of it were better. And they talk about like even in your neighborhood, right? When you drive around, are you in a neighborhood where you're driving by, somebody's in the lawn, do they turn and wave while you're driving by or not? And I'm trying to turn my neighborhood into that kind of neighborhood now. I'm always the guy waving, trying to get there because that book changed my life.
Yeah. That's great. I when I first got into real estate, I was in land sales with my father. We would buy 1,000 acres and divide it up and sell it. And I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, so I'm a city guy, and we're like an hour outside of town, or maybe 2 hours outside of town. We're driving down the road on like one of my first days of work, and he's waving at everybody, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Waving," and like, "Why are you waving?" He goes, "Because we wave to everybody when we drive." When we're driving in our big fancy car from the city in the country, we wave to everybody. And I developed a habit now, like I wave at everybody. And but it was a very purposeful thing about a small little effort like hi or waving to a stranger makes a big difference over time.
It makes you feel at home. It makes you
Yeah.
feel at home with the people around you, even if you don't know them. And then it's going to get to the point where you're going to run into each other at Target and you're actually not going to know each other's names still, but you're going to start interacting like you know each other because you've seen each other so many times.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Anything else on your heart that you'd like to share?
Anything else on my heart that I'd like to share? It was a tough couple of years for a lot of people getting into real estate,
Mm-hmm.
especially if they were new. What's funny is a couple of the agents on my team got in 2021, which is for most real estate agents was a career year, right? The business was easy. Stick a sign in the yard, you got 10 offers 5 minutes later, right? As I'm sticking the sign in the yard, somebody's handing me an offer and, for them, it was very difficult. And it was difficult because they didn't already have that database. They didn't already have that grind. And it seemed like everybody was already taken. Like, yes, everybody was buying and selling, but those people were taken. And there were so many real estate agents.
Yeah.
And then it shifted, right? In 2022, rates started going up. 2023, and then 2024, they stayed up higher than what we were used to over the last decade. And it was a grind. And most agents in 2024 would say they had a down year compared to the previous few years. And it felt like it was really a lot of work.
Yeah.
Where for a lot of years it wasn't work. We can all be honest about that. We made more money than we deserved, and that's because we've gone through years where we didn't make as much money as we deserved, and it all averages out. And last year was kind of one of those years where I think we probably had a record number of houses fall through contract. People would submit an offer and then literally within days pull the offer back because they're just like, it's too big of a decision for me. I'm not ready for that payment. And it was out of our control at times. And, we'd vet the lenders, we do all that. They were pre-qualified, but just it didn't matter. And so I would say if you were able to make it through the last couple of years, Russ, I hope you agree with me. I think this year is going to be a pretty darn good year. I think we've already seen 2025 starting out stronger than 23, 24 even touched. And I'm hopeful and I'm very confident that it's going to continue this way unless there's any major economic shifts. I think it's going to continue to get better even without the rates dropping.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the reality with rates is people become comfortable with things quicker than we realize. And we think we need the rates to drop, but really we just need people to settle into where we are. And people are kind of resilient with that kind of thing. It's, I don't think anybody expects it to be like it was because that was so unusual. And, now it's starting to feel normal again.
It's starting to feel like when somebody comes to us to buy a house, they aren't surprised when they see the costs of things. The hard thing is, right, is prices basically doubled during the COVID era, and then they doubled our taxes in our area, and then they doubled our insurance rates. Oh, and before that, they even doubled interest rates. And so all four things that go into your mortgage payment have all basically doubled or tripled in the last couple of years. And so affordability is legitimately difficult for a lot of people because wages haven't gone up that much. And so it's just figuring out ways to move forward in life. And if you want to be a homeowner, we can get you to be a homeowner. And if you want to be successful in this business, there's ways to do that. It's just, you got to grind.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. Mark, thanks for being on the podcast. We appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me. This was fun.